Hey, good evening, everybody. Uh, Welcome to Stupid O'Clock. I'm Joe Dog. Sort of a little frustrated because I'm trying to get links posted out to everybody. Go ahead and bring in Dan, John, and Spider Bill. Oh, yeah, I can't resist that. I gotta play it, Dan.
It's your fault, Bill.
I thought it was
I know. I
actually
gave
Bill
him
doing
a
it.
new toy.
I thought
Welcome
it was
to the
actually
new and
Bill
improved
playing
Stupid
it. Yeah.
O'Clock with no MSG, no BPAs, and no cancer-causing Facebook.
Yeah.
But plenty of Mexican Coke. And I say that because John just loves it when I call it Mexican Coke.
I do.
Well, I thought I had.
Well, there are several meanings to that phrase, not all of which are legal in this country, but
I thought I had your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now 8.
oh well.
Hey.
Hey,
Brought Dan in there.
There you
if
go.
if it lets you do it, that's fine. I didn't think you were allowed, but
Yeah, Joe Dog, I shared your link for the YouTube channel on
Yeah.
mine where I normally do Facebook, but I couldn't
Yeah.
find Facebook anywhere. So
Well, I just threw it to Uncle Carl's Secret Humor Group, Rising Tide, my HallowCon pages. Yep.
okay.
But it's the YouTube link. Hey, Donna.
Hey, Carl. Who else we got on tonight? So you got Donna and Carl.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Just the two. On the Stupid O'Clock YouTube channel.
All right.
Yep.
Bit of sad news.
What?
On the 17th, Eric Flint, sci-fi writer extraordinaire and member of the Bane book Mafia, passed away.
Oh.
So yeah.
yeah.
He's done a lot of. He did his. As you can see, I've got posted here his 1732 series. He has a whole series of books in that thing, and he does a lot of collaborations with other writers like David Weber, and I've seen him with. He did a lot of military sci-fi type stuff. So.
Yeah. He's a very interesting, or has been a very interesting fellow. I was on several panels with him over the years at LibertyCon. Absolute total gentleman.
Yeah, he was from your neck of the woods, Bill. He lived
Oh, yeah?
in, was it East Chicago, Indiana? Is that,
Not my neck of the woods, but
closer to your neck of the woods than our neck of the woods.
Really?
Down here,
it's
we
probably
still call-
closer to Brian K. Morris in
down
Lafayette
here we
than
still
it
call
is
them
here.
Yankees. So, yeah.
See-
Damn Yankees.
Bill runs Chicago.
No, we
I
only call it
resemble that
damn
remark.
Yankees when they're down here.
As I said.
Bill runs to Chicago like we'll run to Nashville or Atlanta.
Yep, we're going back right after, well, let's see, first Tuesday of August.
Going to Nashville?
No,
Well,
Chi-Town.
oh.
Uh,
Now I'm hearing convoy in my head. Thanks for the earworm.
You're welcome.
Well,
Uh,
I could talk to you about Friday night on traveling on LSD, Trouble Bound.
No, it's not the 70s. I can't relate anymore.
Oh,
John, you got a good storm headed your way.
Had one this morning, knocked the power out for an hour. So
Yeah,
if I
ours
disappear,
was
you know what
not
happened. It's either the storm or aliens. Or NSA, FBI.
Hold on.
Or
maybe an alien storm.
Aliens.
thank you, Bill.
Hey, aliens.
Aliens. He does it better.
Aliens.
Well, I had something I
Eileen.
wanted to read for Stephanie's, the suit her, and sadly, she's not on tonight, which I know she's
still feeling a little under the weather.
Yep.
well,
And we all wish her the best.
extra tired. But I can share it with you guys because what was yesterday on this day in history?
Yeah, the Moonwalkers.
No, the day after my birthday.
But otherwise,
Speaking of being put outside, Joe, are you going to Outside Con this year?
I had planned on it, but we'll discuss that later.
Okay. Dutch is planning on being there this year.
Yes.
So
I'm gonna have to give him a call and ask him about that.
Really?
Yeah.
I would like to go. But just it never fails. Every year that they have an Outside Con, fate conspires against me going. So, like this year, it's gas prices.
Yeah, that was a struggle for me, but we've got an added windfall coming in, so we can actually afford it.
Cool.
oh wow! Hooray for added windfalls.
Yes.
See, take those glow in the dark bandy things and sell those.
No,
No.
I don't sell. Only thing I sell up there would be a membership to HallowCon.
Well, you take those with you.
Hmm.
I mean,
No,
They are portable.
hey,
Yeah.
drunk people love those things.
Yeah, well, the problem is they tend to end up laying around everywhere.
Somebody has to clean up.
Yeah.
Hey, you do what we did in the military. You get everybody together, get them online, hands across the park, pick up any trash you see, hand out trash bags, that sort of thing.
That works in the military. It doesn't work at conventions.
It does if you block the road and don't let anybody leave until all the trash is gone.
I
You
get
let-
your point.
And
let
something?
all Walmart employees in for free as long as they clean up afterwards, and you can say clean up on aisle 7.
If you block the road and don't let anybody leave until all the trash is picked up, the park rangers are not going to say anything about it. They're just going to say, he's right.
No.
How about doing that little thing from the Disney cartoon where the park ranger got all the bears
Put it
together?
in, put it in the can. Boom, boom. Take the
Yeah.
put it in the can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, and Walter Flack has jumped in.
Hi, Walt. So, what I started to ask you before,
Should we shut him out again?
yeah, I looked up there, I thought, who left? And I'm like, oh crap, that was me. No, do you actually believe that the moon landing / moonwalk happened on July 20th?
Yes.
Or did it indeed happen on July 21st?
Neither, because the moon does not use the same calendar that Earth does.
Well, supposedly, of course, and for those who don't know, they were saying on this day in 1969, Neil and Buzz were the first people to walk on the moon. It actually, July 20th in the United States, nearly 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Right.
But according to Greenwich Mean Time, it was already almost 3 a.m. on the 21st.
So it really depends on where. I think the defining factor would be which tracking station picked it up.
So they,
They should go by
11
the time
left.
on that. If the tracking station was in New Zealand, they should go by New Zealand time. If it was in California, they should go by California time.
Well,
So-
they went by Eastern time because that's where Washington is.
Who cares about Washington? Bunch of damn crooks.
Why? How can you mean that? No, okay. They left on the 16th, and then it took them about 3 days to reach the moon's orbit.
Mm-hmm.
And
Where's
then
Stephanie? Where's Stephanie when we need her? Darn it!
I know it.
Okay, it was 250,000 miles in 3 days. That should not be difficult math to do. They were
So
No rest
they were
areas.
booking.
most of the
they didn't
history
stop at the
books,
rest area.
No McDonald's. No rest areas. No Circle K's. No Buc-ee's. How do you get to the moon without beef jerky?
I don't think many of those even existed then.
Well,
Really?
rest areas did, because Eisenhower did the rest area thing.
Yeah.
so anyway, the Eagle touched down on the 20th, according to most history books,
With a hat full of
on
fuel.
southwestern edge of the Sea of Tranquility.
Mm-hmm.
They went fishing. The fishing was no good in the Sea of Tranquility.
But the golf was excellent.
Yeah.
I hear the
That-
rock lobsters were biting.
They didn't have the golf game until much later.
Mm.
And Sarah is. Do we have the show on Facebook at all?
It's on Dan's page.
Facebook.
On my Facebook, apparently.
Okay, let me check in because Sarah's having problems with YouTube following directions.
Now, could you imagine? He was talking about the golf game, but could you imagine if they could get a good, flexible, movable suit and put Tiger Woods up there to take a shot?
It wouldn't take Tiger Woods. Just anybody get a good hit on a golf ball. Now I
It
wonder
goes
if
into permanent orbit
could it
and becomes a hazard.
The moon has a decent amount of gravity.
Yeah,
It's only
Not a-
1/6 Earth gravity, but
yeah.
still.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, but you could get a couple miles off a good hit.
Now, there's no atmosphere, so that there's no
Right.
drag. It's the only thing that would slow it down would be gravity. But
Static
On Mars-
electricity.
on Mars, they've got a slight atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if we ever do get men to Mars, instead of doing the golf ball trick, take a frisbee.
You
There.
ought to be able to get a good 100 yards off a frisbee.
Well, it's 40% the size of Earth, so 40% Earth gravity.
Well, they said,
But the
That-
atmosphere is real thin.
yeah,
Well,
they
it's not the size; it's the mass.
Yeah, they say the little Mars helicopter, the rotors, the spin, if you could hear them in Earth, they're screaming.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Got
ain't
it.
got an awful lot to work with.
It has Mars has now it's 40% the size of Earth, has 1% of
Earth's
the
gravity. And 1/3 the
Atmosphere.
gravity. And 1/3 the gravity.
Well,
Yeah.
40%, yeah, something. But
No, it's 40% the size, but it's 1/3 the mass.
And the other problem with the atmosphere is it's carbon dioxide mostly. It's 96% carbon dioxide. So you get those carbon dioxide is a very weird gas. It's one of the few materials that can actually be in all three states at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a solid, a liquid, and a gas at the same time. Just, and it's dense because it's basically carbon and oxygen.
Now, the Perseverance rover had a experiment on it that actually took the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and made oxygen.
If you can separate the carbon from the oxygen, you get O2. It's CO2. You separate the carbon, you get O2. But the problem with trying to, and you see it in sci-fi a lot, they want to put an atmosphere on Mars. They want to redo the atmosphere.
Yeah, terraforming.
Mars is not big enough. It doesn't have enough mass or gravity.
And
to
it
hold
no
these
longer has a magnetic field.
That's
So-
the problem.
Yeah, that's one of the larger problems. Yeah, there's no like our Van Allen belts here. There's no shielding from solar
The radiation.
particles and cosmic rays and other forms of radiation.
That's
And
true. That's
it
what's
can't
true.
hold. It cannot hold the density of atmosphere that Earth has.
Hmm.
It's
You might be
it
able
can
to do it at
almost
the
hold
bottom
half,
of
maybe.
the largest canyon on Mars. You might be able to, but it wouldn't be very long. You'd have to keep on replenishing it because it would escape rapidly
Right.
or decay into components. But
Where's Stephanie when we need her?
Asleep
We
with
hope
any
she's asleep.
with any luck, she's getting some rest.
Least resting.
Mm.
You know, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin actually wanted to stay on the moon longer and kind of wander around and that, but of course, that it was so unknown to them, and needless to say, dangerous.
Mm.
They didn't really have any time for sightseeing. I mean, on the bright side of the moon, it averaged 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which they didn't really know if spacesuits that were water cooled would stand up to that kind of heat. And if so, for how long before something would happen. So they had to do their thing and boogie.
Yeah, basically.
Hey, Zach.
How you doing, Zach?
Hey,
Some great coverage today on the booster test.
Shall return.
I don't know why they did a booster test because they've already ran a SLS booster test. Me and you sat in on that one, John.
that was that one out in the desert that burned up started a wildfire.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what's funny is being in the military as long as I have, I've shot ordnance that has started range fires and had to help go put out the range fires with range control.
Ah,
They bring out their little flappers and their little fire truck and go out there. A flapper is like a rake handle with a mud flap on the end of it. You go out there and beat the damn grass.
Carl says can't even keep corned beef hash at Meyer. Getting oxygen to Mars. Nope. All the oxygen they need is there. All they need is some CO2 scrubbers.
Yep. I'm going to ask a quick question of Carl. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a quick question of Carl. What brand of corned beef hash do you like? Because I happen to be a big fan of Hormel. So.
Okay, they did a testing to upgrade the SRB to make it more modern and reliable. That way, that's why they had to test again. If everything's good, this booster will be for Artemis 2 in 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's Morton Thiokol is still making the propellant that goes in the solid rocket boosters. And I don't know that they've actually built anything. I don't know how modern the components that go into the boosters are.
Yeah.
Because I know.
Thank you.
They have them. Oh.
Yeah.
They have a contract with the Air Force because that same material that goes in the boosters goes into some of the military's ICBMs. I'm not sure which one. So, and they have to take the old propellant out every so often and put in new propellant.
Oh,
that's top secret. I'm not allowed to know about that.
That's solid rocket boosters, though, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Carl says Hormel is the only corned beef hash that he'll buy. And service and out never get the generic hash.
Because if it comes from China, it's probably got cat in it. It's not actually beef.
Yeah.
Meow.
and the hash we used to get in the 70s is something completely
Kitchen
different
brand.
and a different story altogether.
Mary's
Thank you,
Kitchen
Bill.
brand's
I was
pretty good.
thinking out loud, and you happened to have been listening.
Hey, I'm sorry, but the corned beef hash that comes from China, it's just perfect.
Um,
What, John?
I'm just surprised Waffle House doesn't have corned beef hash.
I'm just surprised Waffle House doesn't have a base on the moon.
They do. It's just
They
getting
will.
I hear Cracker Barrel does.
I guarantee you, if we ever send a manned mission to Mars, they're going to run into a Dollar General.
Dollar General, Family Dollar, a Waffle House, and a Cracker Barrel. Just
Around here, it would be a Dollar General with a Casey's gas station right next door. It seems like they build one, they build the other.
Have you seen, y'all heard of that group that does videos on YouTube? It's a Southern thing.
Yes,
Have you seen their Dollar General store?
the
video?
Dollar General, the viral Dollar General stores.
Yeah.
Oh.
How do we get that meat? We don't know.
No, we don't know. It's just, and the one lady's like,
It's like kudzu. If a leaf hits the ground, you got one.
I went to the Dollar General store, and I went in the back room, and there was a smaller Dollar General store already in the back room of the Dollar General store. And it's like, and the one girl's like, is that Dollar General store in the ocean? Is what on an island? It says, we don't know.
It hasn't hatched yet.
I know a lot of Dollar General stores that go into smaller communities. If there is another, and I'm not talking about a convenience store that sells gas, but another legitimate grocery store there, they will not build one there. Just
Now they
in
do have
those-
the Dollar. I have not been there yet. There's one in Fort Oglethorpe that I've not been to. Is it the Dollar General grocery stores? The big Dollar General.
It's a
stores?
super Dollar General.
Right.
We have ones now that are called DG Market, and
Yeah,
DG
that's-
Market sells fresh fruit and vegetables. I went into the one over in Petersburg, Indiana, and was not amused. I mean, it was no big deal.
There are certain things I will actually go to Dollar General store to buy. One of them is detergent vinegar, cleaning vinegar,
Mhm.
and it's like white vinegar, but it's 1% more acid, so it's good for descaling coffee makers, and water distiller, and stuff like that. So,
And surprisingly enough, Dollar General has a decent greeting card aisle.
Yep.
Inexpensive too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They also have pretty decent prices on some major brand stuff that is much more expensive at other big name grocery stores, and it's the same thing. It's a
I don't
big
know
name
who the
brand.
president of Dollar General store is, but he really needs to start funding SpaceX's trip to Mars, just so that they can land a lander there with a Dollar General store in it.
Well, the only reason they don't put, and Elon's already, somebody asked Elon this, and he says, the only reason we don't do it is because the paint adds weight. Weight is mass. That's less mass we can get to orbit.
Yep. Well, a lot of was it the B-29 bombers? They didn't paint those for two reasons. One, it goes so high up. It was such a high altitude bomber that nothing could intercept it. So why camouflage the damn thing? And two, paint adds weight. Just polish the aluminum and go from there.
Well, John, to answer your question, Todd Vassos is currently the, they don't call it president. What do they call it? Chief
CEO.
Executive Officer.
CEO.
CEO. But on a July 12th posting of this year in Supermarket News, Jeffrey Owen will succeed Todd Vassos as Dollar General CEO.
Now, back around Christmas, they had the autobiography of the original founder of Dollar General, available as pretty nice, hefty hardback books in there, and they were not expensive. I mean, he wasn't trying to get $50 per copy, but there was I flipped through one, and I was surprised that it had been going on all that time. But then again, I remember the darn things when I was a kid up in East Tennessee. So that was very early 60s. Don't know exactly when they got started. I never noticed that factoid, but
well, yeah.
The wind has picked up here at my house, so if I disappear, it might be because the power went out.
Again.
Again.
Yep. Today's storm that knocked our power out for the 4th time this week also knocked down half of the posts that were holding up what was left of the chicken wire that used to surround not only sideways but above what the cats were living in.
The catio.
The cat shed.
Cat condo.
A little cat house. It was about 4 times the size of an outhouse, and had its own heat and running water and everything. But we dismantled that when the cats no longer lived in it anymore. Anyway, it broke off about 6 4-inch diameter posts that had been in the ground for about 16 years. And we're going to have to go out there and finish cutting away the rest of the rusty chicken wire and get stuff out of the way. But no windows got broken, thank God, even though a 2x4 fell right up against the storm window and thumped it really hard. Lindsay thought her Pyrex pie dish in the oven had exploded. And she's going, "Oh no, it ruined my peach crumble." She went out. She went out and bought and picked peaches off of our little peach tree. They're about the size of a little bit larger than a Kennedy $50.
I was going to say walnut.
Well, good size walnut before you take the green off of it.
You got a good storm rolling in.
Oh yeah, that's me right there in the middle. So yeah, it's headed straight for
Come on,
right for it.
Hi, John.
All right.
We have nothing up here but heat and heat and more heat and heat on top of that.
Yeah. Well, Lindsay's home turf is really suffering. They
Yeah,
said,
I mean, London is on fire.
yeah.
Again?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
think
this
they get
time
better
it wasn't
fire?
Doctor Who's fault.
Yeah.
Not
They're having
can't be Hitler. He's dead. So
they're having 100-degree temperatures, 100-degree plus temperatures in London.
And they are used to
70s.
They think 70s is a heat wave.
yeah.
Hello, Keisha.
Hi, Keisha.
And Sarah
Yeah.
too.
My friend Anne that lives in Poole, Dorset, was complaining one day that it was 82 degrees out and it was stifling and I just had to laugh. Come to Illinois.
I was stationed in Berlin, and Berlin does not have air conditioning. They really don't need it. The only places that have air conditioning are like big buildings with like computers and stuff like that. But they only get, or used to, they used to only get like 2 weeks of American summer. There's like 2 weeks where everybody just says, screw it, we're not going into work, we're going to the beach. And they basically, they shut down Germany for like 2 weeks in the summer just so everybody can go to the lake and sit at the new beaches and stuff like that.
They ought to remember that. They should have done it back in the 40s. Just
They
shut
did.
it down completely.
Hitler used to actually, the Nazi party used to pay people to go on vacations. Strength through joy or something like that.
Paid vacations. Imagine that.
Really? I get paid to go on vacations now.
Well, for people that had been putting up with the Versailles Treaty for, 10, 20 years, that was a big deal.
I am going to bring up a picture, guys. This was sunset. I don't have to ask for permission for this one to share it. I mean,
Well, if it's the sun, I'm pretty much anybody can see it.
yeah. Well, it's
Somebody's photo. Yeah.
it's somebody else's photo, and worst case scenario, all he'll do is
They'll kick you off Facebook. Hey.
I have a copyright on the sun.
Yeah. This was sunset around my house.
It's rather orange.
Yeah, I mean it was a weird orange. Like, okay, I've never seen that before. But
It's an orangey sky. Always it's some other guy.
Yes.
and I will say this: the photographer was the person holding the copyright. The photographer is my dad.
Ah.
So
Yep, I doubt you're going to get a copyright strike from your dad unless he's really pissed off at you.
yeah. Oh, there's another picture of it.
So 50-50 chance.
Yeah, that's looking east and that's looking west. But yeah, that's the weird.
Dan, did you get my musical reference? It's an orangey sky. Always it's some other guy.
It sounds
That was-
familiar.
Yeah, Bye Bye Love by the Cars off of their first album.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, thanks for clarifying it because it would have driven me crazy eventually. But with me, it's a short drive.
And Carl says when our skies look like that, it's not a good sign. Yeah, and I know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
But I really don't worry about the orange. When the sky looks like that and it's green,
That's when it's time to remember whether or not you've got a storm shelter.
yeah, green skies weird.
I
Okay.
batten down the hatches when I see the flying cows.
Now, one day I was at work when we had a tornado that went up what's called Highway 58, Harrison, and it got in between a ridge line, two
Oh,
ridges,
dear.
and it sat and it dug up that ridge line. But I was sitting there, I was probably 4 or 5 miles away from where it actually sat down and dug, and I looked around, and the guy riding with me in truck, I said, it's sort of sprinkle raining, and I'm going, where are all the birds?
Safe.
He goes, what do you mean? I said, where are the birds? I said, this is some bad weather. Where are the birds? If you see the animals take shelter, you might want to follow suit.
They're all attacking a woman in a phone booth near a gas station that's about to blow up.
All right. Dan's took his run. I'm going to make my run.
Cal.
Run for the roses.
Cal. There's
Cow.
another cow. No, that's the same one.
That cow.
Oil
it's
tanker
circling.
truck.
All right, be right back.
Oh, look, it's the winged victory of Samothrace.
It's like the pyramid, but upside down.
That's not
Yep.
a sight you want to see. No.
Yes, folks, we have an upside down pyramid scheme here on Stupid O'Clock.
Yeah.
We have some rain that possibly might come in late tomorrow night after midnight into Saturday morning. And I hope it won't go too far into Saturday morning if we get any at all, because I'm going back on Jenny's Saturday sales to help her out. We worked yesterday in her pole barn garage. It was about 97 degrees outside and about 9,700 degrees inside.
In which case, you'd be grateful for a little bit of rain on that hot tin roof.
Yeah, I told her, I said, Jenny, you're like the little sister to me, and I'll always help you on this stuff, but right now, you stink. And she's like, you stink too. I'm like, okay, just so long we know that.
Mm-hmm. And it starts raining outside, you both grab a bar of soap and go, showers!
I wished it would have, but it didn't.
That was MASH, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
No,
now, we are under severe drought conditions right now, and they're talking about some rain toward the end of the weekend and the first part of next week that might give us up to 2 inches, and that's the most rain we've seen since June. And the corn's really starting to it's hot out when you see the corn panting.
Mm-hmm. It's exactly the opposite down here. We've had rain almost every day for the last month. And it might be a very short but very heavy shower, or it might be all day long. But Lindsay has been out on the good days with no rain, out mowing the yard with the push mower, and she's going, I just did that 2 days ago. Now I've got to go mow again. I go, honey, you're going to dodge raindrops. We had she got a couple of packages delivered by UPS today. That driver whipped into the driveway much too fast, and then tried to stop after he had hit the grass on the side of the driveway, making a sudden left-hand turn, tore up the yard like nobody's business. Then apparently she's standing there on the porch watching him. He just spins the tires, backs up real quick, almost hits my van, almost runs over about 3 cats, throws her packages out in the mud, and then peels out of the driveway. And I'm going, dude, you don't get paid enough to be careful, do you?
Did you get the plate number or something?
She's got all the numbers off of the packages themselves. And there's another one that's supposed to arrive tomorrow, supposedly with the same truck, if not the same driver. And she's hoping that he'll have learned his lesson and not try and slide into the front porch this time.
It'll probably be a different person.
One would hope, but we've got the same driver 2 days in a row so far.
Yeah, I would turn in the first driver. No doubt about it.
I'm going to have to go out there with a shovel and try and clean up the yard where he tore up at least it wasn't my golf course grass. It was just the orchard grass, which is pretty much wild around here. So it's not something we planted. It's something we're trying to supplant with the golf course grass. But
Uh,
God, if he tore that up,
Now, you said a delivery driver with who?
UPS.
Report it.
That's what I told her.
Mhm.
That's what I told her.
Report it.
Yep.
And
Tell her.
they'll have to send somebody out to fix your yard.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah, you need to send pictures.
he evidently he came in the driveway. Looks like a right-hand turn into the driveway at such speed that I'm surprised he didn't lay the truck down on its side, missing the driveway and going into the ditch.
He was probably on his last run, and he was trying to get rid of his packages and go home.
It was the middle of the day. He had plenty more
Well.
places he had to go. It
Well,
was just about noon.
well,
This is where we need skunk.
the UPS. Well, those poor UPS drivers are taking a beating. They have no AC in those trucks,
I know.
and I mean, there's, thanks to Ring cameras, not a sponsor yet. Ring cameras. There's videos of UPS guys just collapsing on people's front porches.
Mhm.
They hit that cool shade, and it just. Dan, you
Oh,
know how it is when you're super hot and walk into a cold place.
oh yeah.
It'll about knock you out.
102 degrees inside the plant. Walk into the break room. It's 60.
And you
I
just
mean,
about pass out.
hey, there's a
Yeah,
reason why I keep a box of Kleenex in my locker as well as in my lab, because if you get used to the ambient temperature inside the main building and then you go into one of the air conditioned areas, you are eventually going to get sick from the temperature differential.
Oh yeah. When I worked at the plastics plant, it was the same thing inside. It's a big pole barn. You have all these big, huge plastic extruders that are basically big, huge furnaces. So it was about 30 degrees hotter inside
Hmm.
the pole barn than it was outside. We did have, well, when it worked, we had air conditioner in the break room, but most of us went outside and sat at the picnic table, just for the reason you just said, Dan
Hmm.
and Joe.
Just to keep from getting sick. And to answer Walter's question, was the umbrella made for rain or shade from the sun? It is in the name. Umbrella, sunshade.
And Walt, you might know the plant that I worked at. It was Future X, which they made. Well, what most people will know were the truck bed liners that Future X made out of ABS plastic, but they also made cattle feeders and all kinds of other stuff.
Hmm.
Worked a 7-day swing. It was very good money, but the most horrible hours.
I know those hours quite well. Yes, I do.
Hey, what's the countdown to now, Dan? Speaking of that.
It's just about 400 working days, which excludes weekends, holidays, vacations, and emergency days off.
Well, I could have a talk with your supervisor and say that you want to work weekends, holidays, and vacations and make it go a lot shorter.
I'd get paid more.
Yeah.
I'd get paid a lot more. But no, basically, it's 17 months and a week and a half.
Okay.
And I will be officially retired. Although I'm already tired, I'm going to be retired. So I foresee lots of naps in my future. Um, no, February 7th, 2024 is supposed to be my last day ever at the factory.
Are you factoring in your vacation days that'll be left over?
Well, basically, what I'm going to do is use up all my vacations in 2023, get New Year's Day off because I'm daytime only, go in January 7th or 2nd, and file for all 5 weeks vacation and my personal days, and come back February 7th for a half day, which is the usual thing when you're retiring. And they will have a celebratory uh, catered dinner to celebrate getting rid of me. And
Yay,
I,
he's leaving.
yeah,
Hey, they
really,
had one of those for at work when I retired, but the thing was they didn't invite me.
hey, I figured they're going to have a keg party on the 8th. So,
So, what you said about your vacation days for that for
yeah,
January, I'm
take
surprised they would allow you to do that 5 weeks and come back and work a half a day.
they can't prevent it. It's in the contract.
Oh, good grief!
God bless you.
Sorry about that. That
Bless you, bless
that
you.
one jumped up on me.
No, I
Oh,
get 5 weeks vacation, whether it's if I were on rotating shifts or whether it's Monday through Friday. It doesn't matter. Um, it's in the contract. So basically, start all my vacation for 2024 on the 3rd of January, and it won't be over until the 7th of February.
Now, do you have an option to cashing out your vacation days and just having them give you money as opposed to the other?
We can cash in, I think, at my level of seniority, we can cash in 2 weeks if we
Hmm.
wanted to. But why would I want to at that? You know, the idea is to get out of there before you earn so much money uh, working that you have to finish out the rest of that year just for tax purposes. So it's an accepted practice basically for folks to come in uh, on their last uh, on their last year. If they planned everything right, file all their vacation time, take all their vacation time, come back for the ceremonial last day, and the company caters a little party, and then make sure your locker's empty and walk out because after that day, your key card will no longer work to get back in the gate. And
Hmm.
if you leave anything behind, it's no longer yours. It belongs to the company, and somebody else is going to have to clean it out and throw it away. So I've got my lab to clean out. Where I've got to, I think I'm going to donate my coffee maker to whoever inherits my lab after that. And
no, they'll probably pass a rule: no outside coffee. You got to pay for it. Don't you?
oddly, oddly enough, they have a Keurig machine in the office, and they have half of one of the candy machines, vending machines, full of some really expensive instant coffee. I mean, it cost $1 for a 6 ounce cup, 8 ounce cup, and it's been there since they gave us our break room back and moved all the vending machines back in there from the training room, and not one single styrofoam cup of this hopefully palatable but overpriced coffee has been sold in 6 months. So I'm going, maybe Ben could take all that crap out of there and put some tater chips and some more candy bars in the machine, and people would buy that. but they're not going to pay $1 for a thimbleful of instant coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I worked at Lowe's in our break room, they had a coffee machine in there that nobody used because we got our own coffee. The maintenance man, it used to be Lowe's paid for it, and it was free coffee and the good Folgers Classic Roast, which is pretty
You and
much
I
what
have a
everybody
very
agreed
different
on.
idea of what good is,
But anyway, this other stuff, yeah, it was like drinking 10W30, and nobody ever bought it.
I have no idea whether the little styrofoam shot glasses actually have good coffee in them or not, because nobody's ever bought one to tell me. It's been there for 6 months. I don't
Well,
think it has aged well, but that's just a personal opinion.
Lowe's, in their infinite greediness, decided they were not going to buy the coffee anymore, and so all of us Lowe's pros we took up a collection and we gave money to the maintenance man every week for coffee, creamer, sugar, and we were doing the styrofoam cups for a while. And then, of course, there were a lot of people using them up, and I would save mine, and then if I wanted another cup of coffee later in the day, I would have that to use it. And then it just got beyond ridiculous with the styrofoam cups. So we said, you know what? We're not going to buy styrofoam cups anymore. They had a wooden shoebox cubicle that they brought in there. And they said, if you want, you can bring in your own coffee cup of your choice from home. You can either keep it in your locker or keep it in one of the little cubicles and leave it there. You put your name on it if you want or what have you. And it was all right after that, because we not only had to buy sugar, some people took like Equal or Sweet and Low or whatever. So
let me ask you guys this, since you're talking coffee, all three of you.
All right.
Your coffee cup. Your coffee cup.
Uh-huh.
Wash it every use, or just when it gets real grody?
Just when it gets real grody.
At least once a year.
I at least rinse mine out.
Oh yeah,
when I'm
I
done.
rinse mine out frequently. I mean, when I turn off the Mr. Coffee, I dribble a little bit of water in there and squish it around and get a paper. It's not a paper towel; it's a reinforced paper rag, and clean it out real good and set it upside down to completely drain and dry. But then, not only have I got the Mr. Coffee there, I've got a hot shot. If I want tea, I've got tea and honey for a sweetener. I don't put anything in my coffee, so I drink my coffee black.
Well, that's what I was going to ask the three of you. Do you drink your coffee black, or do you put cream and sugar in it? Because I think that plays a lot in cleaning out the cup. How often?
I drink my coffee black and have done since I was about 9.
About 95% of the time I drink it black. Occasionally I do like to put something else in it, like Bailey's Irish Cream.
Yeah. Now, yes.
Well, it depends on what coffee I get. If it's the Black Rifle, yeah, there's got to be some sugar added to that stuff, just to knock the top off of it.
Hey,
actually, I use the Blue Equal, but yeah, I'll go do black coffee. But we went to Sam's and Donna bought the big thing of Carnation Instant Creamer. So I'll throw a spoonful of that stuff in there every now and then too.
Have you ever heard of putting a pad of butter in your coffee?
Tea, yes. Butter, coffee, no.
Butter is basically one up from cream.
Mhm.
That's so.
Well, it is cream.
Basically, it's just the fatty part. But, but there are people that swear by it, and I've tried it once or twice. Yeah,
And you better use real butter, not that margarine sticks. It's got to be real butter.
you might as well.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Might as well pour vegetable oil in your coffee.
Yeah.
Well, you
Well,
basically are, but yeah.
my favorite coffee is the Sam's Club medium roast coffee, and I do put sugar and same as Joe Dog, I got carnation creamer powdered. I used to use, I'll tell you now, talk about for rich coffee. And I got this idea off of the Burns and Allen show because their sponsor was Carnation.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to buy a little can of Carnation and keep it in the refrigerator and pour a little bit of that in my coffee. Man, you talk about rich coffee. That was really good. But it just, the Carnation is a good for, well, by comparison, it's a lot cheaper than the cans of Carnation. But
Now, if every once in a while I'll buy a bag of the whole bean coffee, usually something special. Not just regular ordinary stuff, but and I've got a grinder in my lab, and that the Mr. Coffee, I've got filters and everything else, and um, I rarely do that. And I usually, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to get one of the smaller bags that's not going to last too long because um, I don't want it to. I don't want the coffee to go off. If a whole pound of coffee would last me quite a while, so just get a few ounces and run it through the grinder, and that's fine. That's fine. But I will I will get either a jar of Maxwell House Instant or JFG. And JFG is something that I grew up with up in East Tennessee.
Yep.
So, I mean, you drive through Knoxville, go into Kmart, and there it is, big old building.
That's
And
that's the only
I
mayonnaise
love that coffee. I love that coffee. I also love Maxwell House just as much.
Yeah. Now, do you know what happens when you throw coffee creamer up in the air and throw a match to it?
poof.
You waste coffee creamer in a match.
Mhm.
And you damn near burn your house down.
Well, I mean,
It
Any-
explodes.
Any
you
flammable
could blow up a
substances.
grain tower with dust.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, seriously.
I mean-
If you want to watch things go boom, there are lots of different ways to make that happen.
There's a joke in explosives training about you can blow up a house with a box of Betty Crocker cake mix if you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard of some grain bin explosions referencing as much like SpaceX rocket going off. The grain dust is very, very combustible.
It would be a rapid, unexpected disassembly, yes, and a fire to boot. Yeah, you actually Terry Pratchett used the bag of flour and a candle technique in one of the later novels of the Discworld series. There was a young lady who was a bit of a pyromaniac, but she had grown up in an orphanage where she had been abused, and this was the way that she was getting back at folks. When she was in some place that she was being abused and she found a way to escape, it would suddenly burn down about half an hour after she managed to make her exit. And a lot of times it was finely dispersed flour and a string making sure that a candle flame got uncovered and exposed to the flour at the right moment. Now, this is fiction, so
Well,
you you got to get it completely exactly correct in the proportions of the dust in the air and the moment the candle flame is exposed and what keeps the candle from going out when it's not exposed. You know.
well, the now I remember back in the what was it? This was up in your neck of the woods, Bill. Back in the early to mid '70s, the grain elevators were popping like popcorn.
Hmm. I actually remember that. I'm from nowhere near there, but I saw it on the news.
Yeah, I mean they were just boom. Just I
Yeah,
mean, it was on the news just about every night talking about one blowed up.
yeah. And it wasn't ground flour, it was just the dust from the grain that was in
Yeah,
there. And it just happened to reach the right concentration in the air, and there was a flash point. Something, it could have been so much as a light bulb or a switch. Just a single spark was all it took, and rack a boom.
and Carl says his dad used to work at Luhoff. That's
Lahoff. Yeah.
Lahoff Grain, and he said one weekend the grain dust explosion took out one wall of his office.
Yeah.
Thankfully he was off work.
And it shattered two windows at St. Patrick's grade school across Main Street from it. Lahoff, well, it's Bungie
Yeah, I
now.
forgot one too.
Lahoff Grain Company in Danville is the world's largest grain company, grain elevator / company in the world, and it goes on for blocks and blocks.
Yeah, and y'all thought John was dangerous just because the army trained him. Leave it to a farmer to blow up an entire city block just by going, I think
Hey,
I'll
watch
save
this.
that wheat for a while.
Hey, watch this.
Yeah. Hold my diesel
Many,
fuel and watch
many a
this.
redneck arrived at St. Peter's gates shortly after saying, "Hey, watch this."
And Walter says he was one of the 4 people who got blamed for it.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
I'm
Uh,
sorry to hear that, Walter. I hope you got out of it.
and Donna says for a time Lahoff used to blow up about once a year.
Hey, dust is a really, it's one of those things people don't think about being physically dangerous unless you've got an allergy or something, but it can actually be quite destructive at the right concentration, right number of parts per million, and some a little bit of static.
And
Uh,
Lahoff was not the only place in Danville that had explosions from grain dust. Quaker Oats Company on Voorhees Street suffered a few of those. My dad worked at Heister's right next door to Quaker Oats, and they heard these just earth-shattering explosions. And of course, they thought it was something there, but they have, all the forklifts and mechanical stuff that in his plant, and they're wondering what happened there. And it was actually a grain dust explosion at Quaker Oats for where they were making cereal.
Yeah, thankfully they figured out how to solve that problem because that hadn't happened in a long time now.
Yeah, sell the stuff more often. Don't store it for a long time.
I'll tell you one of my favorite videos to watch on YouTube is the grain silo demolitions.
The ones that go correctly or the ones that don't go quite as planned?
The ones that don't go, yeah. There was one, this guy worked and worked and worked and finally got it, to a point where he could hook a cable around it, hook it to his truck, and he pulled his truck through it. And when he pulled his truck through it, the thing just dropped one level, one course.
That doesn't reassure me very much.
It just went boom, and you could hear the family, and his truck just, he pulled it out and he turned. You can see him get out of the truck and look up like, really? I got to do it again. All it takes is a sledgehammer to take one down.
Yeah, the right place at the right time. There's one of the characters from the Inhuman comic books that is his uh, ability is to judge exactly the perfect point to hit something in order to bust it up completely. This guy is about 4'8" or thereabouts. Knocked out the Hulk once. Knew
Hmm.
the perfect place to hit him. Um, I mean, yes, that's a comic book, but still, um, there's usually in any structure, there's usually one point that is absolutely pivotal to everything else. And if that point gets damaged, a whole damn house of cards is coming down.
Yep.
Now, thankfully, we've learned how to engineer to make that as least likely as possible, but stuff still goes wrong from time to time. And there are still old buildings that are not built to modern standards. And modern, modern is a relative term. I mean, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is still not laying on its side yet, so it's getting
And
there.
well,
It's getting
they
there.
actually have raised it back 3 or 4 degrees.
Hmm.
They're drilling under one
Yeah, and there's
side and pumping mud.
concrete or something in there.
Yeah.
And that's since it is an already completed structure, it's really hard to do because one mistake, one decimal point off, and you wind up with a lot of loose bricks to sell as
Souvenirs.
souvenirs. Yes, indeed.
Well, it's
There.
just like jacking up the foundation of a house today. They've already figured out how to do that.
Hmm.
Uh, I've been watching. I spend a lot of time watching YouTube. This one guy shows how to level your sidewalk when it starts sinking down, and he showed how to, you know, raise that broken section, and then you get it. Shows how to, bottle jacks and 6x6 and 4x4s and all that to jack the slab up level, and then use the extra expanding great stuff. You wait 48 hours, take it off, it's there. And that stuff don't rot.
That's true. That's true. Oh, soybeans rotting. Oh, please. I was a farmer. I grew soybeans. Don't remind me of that smell.
That's a horrible smell.
You
We had
smell
Uh,
it.
a
You smell it now, huh, Dan?
Believe me, there is a reason why I do not eat tofu because I used to grow soybeans. And believe me, soybeans are much better if you roast them and butter them as if they were peanuts rather than grind them up and make them into a paste to
Yeah.
make it imitation meat. They would be competing with popcorn and potato chips if people learned how to prepare them correctly, and they would not be all that. They'd just be a little bit crunchy, They wouldn't be difficult on your teeth for the people that still have teeth, and they soybeans actually taste good, even just right out of the grain bin. Oh, now he's going to go grow some soybeans. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have set him off.
Well, when me and my brother were young, there was a row of grain bins. We were playing around, and one of them was empty, and it had a door in the bottom. You go in. I went in there, and there was just a little bit around the edges that they naturally were rotten soybeans that were left in there, and my brother locked me in this grain bin with the permeating smell that stayed with me even after I got out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on my clothes and everything else. And I wouldn't go near a grain bin afterwards.
Yep. There are a lot of things that people would be surprised. Actually, um, you wouldn't think about them as a snack food, but they are common on farms, and you know a lot of dog food and a lot of cattle feed made from them.
Pig
But
feed. Yeah.
hmm,
Pig feed.
pig feet, pig feet.
The pig feed that we feed our hog is like alfalfa and soybean pellets.
Hmm. I'm surprised there's not a little bit of sorghum in there to make it sweeter.
There might be. I'm not sure. He'll eat darn near anything if it's got, corn
Mm-hmm.
is pig chocolate. Okay.
Yes.
I mean, they'll eat corn cobs, corn husks, corn on cob, corn chips. If you got these old nacho chips or taco shells or whatever that
Yeah,
gone stale,
gone
eat that
stale.
hell
Yeah.
out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Don't eat
Oh,
salad.
wasabi roasted soybeans. Yeah, wasabi anything. Um,
Wasabi and soy sauce. Yeah.
yes.
I've got
And
some chickpeas. I need to do that too.
talk about inedible. Okay, yeah. Sorry. I'm not fond of chickpeas, but
Really?
yeah.
Do you like
Well,
garbanzo beans?
same thing.
Yeah, I know. But I just like saying garbanzo beans. But
Yes, I've listened to George Carlin. Yes.
garbanzo beans.
Yeah. Well,
Garbanzo beans.
anything with the first few letters of garbage in it.
Salsa. That's a Seinfeldism. They were talking about salsa should be a regular condiment on every table in a restaurant.
Salsa? What? I put it on. I put it on my hash browns every day at work. Slice of cheese, a little bit of salt, and either salsa verde or the red salsa. Um, hey, and I it's mild. It's not the hot stuff. I'm not able to tolerate very much hot stuff. Um, you know, I do have some hatch chili peppers in my um the burritos that Lindsay's been making me this week for it's spinach and meat and onions and black peppers and hatch chili peppers. Oh, that's so good. That is so good. But it's all mild. I can tolerate it. It doesn't upset my stomach. Um, when you do have to run for the border, take a hint. Start running.
Sounds like a Taco Bell commercial.
Sort of.
Rule of thumb: it is not a fart.
Yes. Do not ask for whom the bell tolls. Just get to the restroom as fast as you can.
Joe's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this time we weren't talking about him with the
Not exactly.
Mexican food jokes. Yes. Uh, now, Lindsay has analyzed my usual orders at the taco stand, and she has tried to duplicate that at home for me to take to work. And I've got to say, her spinach quesadillas, your taco stand can learn a lesson from this lady. Good stuff. Well, shall we talk about food the rest of the night? Make everybody in the audience run out to a restaurant or what?
I think if we keep on talking about food, all of a sudden everybody's going to disappear at the same time and go get something to eat.
I want to point something out to Joe. I just brought up this picture and I noticed something.
Yeah.
They showed the counterweight on the Walnut Street Bridge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With the rust dripping down. Do you remember when that was a billboard?
Yes, it was a mural. Yeah. There's one on each end.
Exactly. I can distinctly remember when they had an American National Bank billboard up here. I think it might have been Pioneer. I think it was American National.
And it depicted some scene of Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Like the cannons and the view of from Lookout Mountain or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So they need to do that again. You know what they need to put up there?
What?
One of those LCD billboards.
It'd have to be
sell
really
advertising,
thin, wouldn't it?
Have them contact Watchfire Graphics in Danville, Illinois, and they'll arrange one for them.
Well,
they do stuff worldwide.
Is that counterweight is a specific weight.
Right.
If you hang that LCD on there, you're changing the weights.
But it wouldn't change it much. I mean, not considering the 28 tons of concrete is up there.
It only uses a 12 horsepower motor to raise and lower.
This is a This is a counterweight for the drawbridge. The Market Street Bridge actually draws up to allow Navy gunboats to pass through, which is why it's there. That's strange. There's a law that the Navy has to move its gunboats up and down the Tennessee River for some reason, and all the bridges have to allow a certain height so that the gunboats can pass under. Dates back to World War II.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been to Hampton, Virginia? They've got a unique solution.
Oh no, it goes back further than that. The train bridge in up on Access Road is also one of those drawbridges.
Right, same rule. It dates back to, I want to say 1932, if I remember correctly. That there's a rule that says the Navy has to be able to get their gunboats up and down the river. Make shorter gunboats, damn it. I mean,
and you know the last time the bridge on Access Road was raised?
The train bridge?
Yeah.
No. The tornado.
88.
I thought they had to raise that thing regularly just to test
the
mechanism.
They have to do the Market Street Bridge because it, is part of Department of Transportation.
Right.
Train bridge belongs to the railroad.
Yeah.
The railroad says move the river before we move our bridge.
Okay, now that sounds
like that's going to work.
That sounds egotistical, but it's right next to a dam. They can change the level of the river.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is not as egotistical as it sounds.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, the railroad goes, move the river before we move our bridge.
Well, as I was saying, up in Hampton, you have this highway going out across the harbor, and then all of a sudden, it becomes a tunnel underwater. And the tunnel is deep enough to where the Navy can get
pass over. Yeah.
Battleships and everything
Aircraft
over
carrier.
it.
They dock aircraft carriers
Oh
there
Lord,
regularly.
yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
I do know people that are very frightened of that tunnel, and I know people that drive 70 miles an hour on a 45-mile-an-hour bridge. Um,
This
but
is a Chickamauga Dam
uh-huh.
and the Wilkes T. Thrasher Bridge that goes over it. And there's the powerhouse and the transformer yard. And all. This is the original locks through the dam. There's Chickamauga Creek. This is the new lock that they're installing. That's only taken them 25 years. This is the railroad bridge we were talking about. So when we say that literally they can change the level of the river with the dam, we're talking about a distance of maybe 500 feet. You know, that's
Yeah. It might take a little while.
Not actually, no.
No,
Well, I mean,
they opened Nickajack and completely shut down any output of the Chickamauga Dam, and that water will drop like a rock.
okay.
It's literally it's like two switches. Open this one, close this one. River starts dropping.
Well,
you can you can hear it dropping. It drops.
That's the way locks work. And I've been watching the British canal boat videos for almost a year now. You'd be surprised at how fast that water can come in or out of a lock.
Oh yeah, the used to where the on the powerhouse side, there's signs saying do not fish
Gates
in this.
may open at any time. Do not approach. And they've got like a 250-foot zone.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to take boats into. They open up anything on that dam, it'll kill a boat. I mean, just like that.
Oh yeah.
The powerhouse.
And there have been people who would take their little John boat and fish up in where the turbines come out.
And they'll open one of those turbine gates or whatever and gone.
Well, you'll hear a siren. They do throw a warning siren. People have been seen coming out of there.
Yeah, really.
Most Ricky Tick, yes.
But now you can't even get up in there. They've got bars keeping you from going up in there. Those came in after 9/11.
They don't want anybody riding a boat up anywhere near the dam anymore.
Anybody sane would stay away from the downside of a dam, or the upside, actually, now that I think about it. But, humans, how many of us are sane?
But yeah, they actually caught some old guys. What is it? It's the dam above Watts Bar. That's your territory, Dan. The Kingsport Dam. Well, it's got the funky floodgates. I can't remember, but yeah, they caught two. Let's just say visitors from the east. Taking pictures of all the dams with a bass boat and several 100 pounds of explosives in the bass boat.
Time to open them floodgates.
Yeah, they say if they lose any dam on the system, all the dams downstream are gone.
That would be an awful lot of weight to try and hold back. They're engineered to do so much, and they ain't gonna be able to do no more.
Yeah, Walter Flat says caught his biggest catfish at Watts Bar at 40 pounds. That's a little catfish.
Yeah, really. They got some down here in Hartwell about the size of a Volkswagen.
one
Are
of
they
my
driving one?
No, they were just that wide.
one of my bosses at work uh, rolled one in. It was over 90 pounds and nearly 7 foot long,
Mm-hmm.
fishing just below the dam.
Yeah. It's going to take just a little bit more than a can of corn and a treble hook to get those, but if you play your cards right, you might live through it.
Yeah, Walter, Watts Bar is about 40, about 43 miles up the road. Chickamauga Dam is 2 miles
Yep.
as a crow flies. Uh, if y'all remember the incident at the uh, Reserve Center, that was a mile from my front porch. We could
Now,
hear the gunshots.
the dam in my particular neck of the woods in East Tennessee would have been Norris.
Norris Dam, that's it.
Mm-hmm. And I've been up and down that entire lake from just about the time I could walk up until teenage. Yeah.
Yeah, what Walter's saying there.
Oh yeah.
Uh, it wasn't Watts Bar. It was one of the downstream uh, dams. They sent divers down for an inspection. You know, divers go down on the buddy system.
Yeah.
They both came up. I mean, they breached the water like a dolphin and were climbing in the boat and says, you can send somebody else back down there. There was one, he said there was a catfish down there the size of a bus.
Catfish are kind of like sharks. If something don't kill them, they keep growing.
Yeah.
And the older they get, the bigger they get.
But yeah, they said those divers, they breached the surface like a dolphin. They were aiming for the boat.
Treading water the whole time. I'm gonna walk. Come here, boat. Yep, I could see it. I could see it. Um, there's a lot of old stories about when some of the towns were flooded by different TVA dams in Tennessee, and a lot of folks are saying, I don't know who the mayor of some make up a name of a little town. I don't know who the mayor of that town is going to be this year, but I know next year when the dam closes up, it's going to be a catfish. And seriously, um, now if you've ever actually been fishing and caught a catfish, those suckers bite. Even the
Oh, yeah.
little bitty ones feel like you've got something huge on
Yeah,
the
Walter
line.
says, imagine hooking one from a kayak.
How fast you want that kayak to go? I mean, you're not going to need a whip. You're just going to need to hang on and pray the line breaks before it decides to go deep. Oh Lord!
That's why you don't. That's why your drag is real loose on catfish.
And you keep a knife on you, or just throw the. Hey, I'll buy another rod.
Oh,
This is a kayak, not a submarine. I ain't going with you.
I had some people that couldn't understand my joke I posted on Facebook a while back. I said I wanted to go fishing, but the fuses kept going out.
Crocodile Dundee fishing. Yes. You didn't wax them.
Yeah, I was going to say you need to get the right kind.
Well, it was right when I posted it. We were like in a week of just constant rain.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, my
You,
turn
you,
again.
all right, Bill. You know it's bad weather when you see ducks with umbrellas
Yeah.
or the fish heading for higher ground.
Well, that's happened around here before. And got a friend that lives down in the floodplains out on Hungry Hollow Road. And I've seen water, talk about the creek rising, seen water come up and come across his field. And that put the fear of God in me. And he had a couple pole barns, one large one. He collector of Chevy Corvairs. He had Chevy Corvair cars and trucks and the camper vans
I had a
and
boss that was the same way. He
mhm.
had 20. I want to say 23, but it's more like 27 Corvairs, and of that, at least 12 were running.
Yeah, and Cliff or Walt, you're right. It was Cliff.
Yeah.
And
And we were talking about rain just a minute ago, which made me reminded me of something when I bought my house. Now John's back. When I bought my house, do you know my insurance company wanted me to get flood insurance? If I ever need flood insurance,
There ain't going to be no insurance company.
no.
yeah, well, these people that live down there in the Warrens additions off of Hungry Hollow Road, none of them can get flood insurance. The city has been trying to move them out of there for the longest time because of that, but there's a lot of people and mine and Walt's friend Cliff is one of them, that their families lived there for 60 some years and more. And it's hard to be uprooted like that, even though you got to deal with floods and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
they've been doing it for all those decades. And
I'm not going to give up my tropical island that I live on.
I understand completely.
I mean, if it keeps going, if the world, they're talking about global warming and ice cap melting and everything flooding. Sorry
Bless
about
you.
that, guys. John will tell you I'm living on a future tropical island. He's been here.
The only reason I can think of that you would need flood insurance
Yeah,
is if that water tower had ever collapsed with water in it.
yeah.
Oh, we had that happen in Danielsville once. That
Yeah, and
had a water tower been standing there for many decades, I don't know how long, and then one day, one of the legs decided it was tired and it was going to lay down. There was about two neighborhoods that were very glad that they did not have basements because they were like 6 or 8 feet above the ground and were actually waterfront property for a few minutes.
yeah, well, ours wasn't really a water tower; it was more a water tank. It went all the way to the ground.
Hmm.
But you could tell when that sucker was empty or full when the lightning struck.
Enlighten me.
If it was empty, it was louder because it rang.
Oh, like a bell. Yes, indeed.
When you're boom.
I imagine when it was full, though, you could feel the vibration through the ground for quite a
Oh
distance.
yeah. And then when they cut it down for a long time, I mean everything around here was getting struck by lightning.
Mhm.
Or you had a metal, 100-foot tall tank sitting on, you know, bolted into the ground
with water pipes running into it.
with water pipes running all in it. So it was the lightning rod. You take away the lightning rod, everything else that was tall gets hit.
Yeah, there's an odd story about how lightning rods were popularized. Um, I mean, they've been around for a long time. I'm not sure if the apocryphal story that um, Ben Franklin was responsible for their invention or not, but
No,
No,
yeah,
they
I
were
did.
around long before
they were
then.
around long. But the British
I,
had them
I,
on their ships, and the French had them on their ships. And one of the things, it's in the Nelson Museum, I think. I can't remember. It's one of the British museums. But he captured a lightning rod from a French ship. That most of the ones in the British ships were just straight metal rods with, you know, copper cable that ran down the hull. And he captured one from the French flagship that was a curlicue. And rumor had it at first that it had been straight, but it had been struck by lightning, and that's why it was a curlicue. But apparently, all the French ships had this curlicue design.
hmm
And somebody on the History Channel did a experiment with a lightning generator building that they took the two different lightning rods in there to see which one worked better. Strange enough, the French design actually had something going for it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But
there's was more. Was it curly Q or sort of bent at angles?
no, it was a curlicue. It was a
Okay.
complete loop.
Now the ones around here had um, glass balls on them, just a little bit larger than a softball, and you could tell which ones had actually suffered a lightning strike because either the glass was partly melted or it was partly shattered. And the ones that were on houses that had never gotten struck by lightning were still collector's items way up there. But it is basically just spirals of either wrought iron or aluminum with a copper spike on top, and the glass bubble part way down.
I'm
Now,
actually looking at a few of those right now.
yeah.
What was
Now,
the glass bubble for? Just to tell you it's been hit, or
I haven't the faintest idea. Actually, I've never researched it, but I go, if you ever see that thing lit up, it's
It
not a
looks
good.
like it
It's
looks
not a
like
good
some
time
sort
to
of
go in.
insulator.
Yeah.
But let's see here.
Well, and I've seen a lot of them in my lifetime, and they all had the glass balls on them. Not one of them was cracked or shattered, and just with
Mhm.
the metal part left or anything. And matter of fact, I watched an episode of American Pickers the other night that they had some that they were kind of trying to get off of this one guy.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we tore down an old barn once that had the aluminum, just spiral aluminum lightning rods on it. And Dad had the bright idea of taking about 20 feet or so of that and twisting it artistically and planting it in the ground and putting our post our mailbox on top.
Hmm.
Now this was back in the 70s when a lot of people were complaining that there were teenagers riding around in the middle of the night with baseball bats trying to knock people's mailboxes off of the whatever. Usually it was a concrete FFA, just L-shaped mailbox stand sunk into the ground, and ours got hit one night. And all it did, they went by and it bent the aluminum. Dad went up there the next day, yanked the mother upright, straightened the flag on the mailbox, good as new. Now there were people that got sneaky. They had built a brick enclosure for their mailbox, and the kids would drive up, put an M80 in there, close the door, drive off. It had just opened the door of the mailbox if it didn't blow the door of the mailbox off. There was one. It was on an 8-inch diameter cast iron pipe, about 12 foot long, sunk 6 feet in the ground. No, it couldn't have been 12 foot. It had to have been about 8. Sunk about 6 feet in the ground, filled with concrete. Somebody who was under the influence hit that sucker. Did not damage the mailbox, totaled their car, damn near killed them. They wound up in the hospital. Hey, Jimmy.
Good morning, Mike Jimmy.
Well,
Walt will recognize this name I'm about to bring up. A friend of ours back in the day, Jim Engelman, had the same issue with kids busting up his mailbox posts and knocking the mailbox off and just literally destroying it. And he turned around and he got an old rear axle out of his garage from a 1958 John Deere tractor and put about 4 foot of it in the ground and then cemented it in the ground and then mounted the mailbox on top of it. And this apparently always happened on the weekend nights when his mailbox was vandalized. And then one night he came home and getting ready for bed, and he just heard engines coming down the road. Car just, sounded like they were going like a bat out of hell. And they got up there to that, and needless to say, they wrecked the car into that. They were getting so close to hit it. I don't know if they were using a baseball bat or what they were using to deal with it, but apparently the vehicle was no longer operational after meeting it head on. And to my knowledge, I think that thing is still there after all these years.
Mm-hmm.
This would have been back in the 80s, so.
Yeah. The past is like a foreign country. They do everything the same way there. Some things never change, in other words.
Yep. Walt's right. Mailbox wins.
Mm-hmm. Rambunctious kids will always be rambunctious, but eventually they'll wind up going up against a hazard that someone thought out more carefully than they thought out their prank. Now there's a neighbor up the road who used to have this lovely brick curtain of just laid brick on either side of his driveway. Just, very ornamental thing, very nice. And there were so many cars going off the road tearing that thing down. He finally just got tired of rebuilding it and didn't. Just tore it all down. Absolutely flat, both sides of the driveway. It's the same place where we got rear-ended by the teenager on his cell phone. The one that took out 6 foot of a telephone pole without breaking the phone wires. Now the county has put a far right-hand lane to pass around that intersection, so that if you come over that blind hill and there's somebody sitting there with a turn signal on, you got about 5 seconds to figure out if you can maneuver over into the other lane at whatever speed you're going and back onto the road, because it's not a long pass, but it's a whole lot better than taking out a brick mailbox or a decorative driveway sculpture or the middle of a telephone pole
I was
at
working at
excess
this one.
speed.
I was working at this one store, and this lady came in. We were talking while I was working, and she was talking about how somebody had come by with a baseball bat and taken off her mailbox. She was going to have to get a new mailbox. And we'd been talking. I said, well, "You said you work at combustion, right? Combustion engineering." She says, "Yeah." I says, "You're a welder, right?" She says, "Yeah." I says, "Surely they've got some scrap laying around where you can get you some 6-inch pipe and weld a mailbox together."
Mm-hmm.
Just from like 1/2-inch plate steel. She goes, Says you take that back, you put about 3 foot of it in the ground, a couple bags of concrete, and let them come by and hit your mailbox with a baseball bat. She says, I like that idea. A couple weeks later, she shows back up at the store, lays the front end of a wooden baseball bat on my counter, just about this much of it, and says, your idea for the baseball bat worked wonders.
Well, what you do is you paint the pipe a wood tone color, or maybe put a wood sleeve over it.
I don't know what she did, but she came by and showed me that piece of baseball bat, and I'm like,
I know a guy that owned a triplex and got tired of replacing mailboxes. So he talked to all his renters and said, guys, this may take a while, but y'all are gonna have to share a mailbox. And because of all the damage. He put new mailboxes up. The 2 mailboxes on each end were filled with concrete. The center mailbox was for the mail.
Somebody got surprised.
Well, and that's one thing about the apartment that I live in. We don't have any external mailboxes. There's a building in the middle of the apartment complex called the community room. That's where the laundry, the washers and dryers are, because they have no washer dryer hookups in the apartments. So you got to, it's our own laundromat that you got, and of course you got to pay. But it also has mailbox lockers in there, much like a school locker. And you have your key to go check it in there. And then it has a separate mailbox that you can drop off mail in there that the mailman will check it and haul away letters if you don't, which the Oakwood post office is 2 minutes away. So it's not like it's any big bother, but still it's nice that they have it in there. But, and another thing, not only so that, vandals can't get to it like they would in external mailboxes, but also because of weather and that when you getting, and I can get things delivered to me at reasonably sized because my lockers are yay tall. They're, I don't know, probably 4 foot tall by a foot and a half wide, maybe close to 2 foot. And so I get a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of things can go in there and that. And then of course everything else goes to my door. But yeah, that was their way of solving the problem with that. Boy, time that perfectly.
I need to start looking at what I'm typing.
Yeah. Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Happy now?
Let's just not go there.
I went there. I was driving the bus when we went there. Okay.
No, I post over in the private chat. I thought I typed kick it, but I typed lick it, and it's like, oh shit.
We only missed by one key.
Well,
at least he didn't lick a book spine, so.
Hey, that's been known to happen, but not here. Well,
not in this show.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Just had to have a special guest star, and it is probably inevitable.
Those are the good days of streaming.
Back when you could stream.
Back when I could stream on Facebook.
Happy days.
And I hear that Facebook is getting ready to update their format again, which that terrifies me to no end when they say stuff like that.
Hey, when they update stuff, you need to complain. Anytime Facebook posts something on Facebook, complain that their post doesn't meet community standards.
It violates community standards, yes.
Stop seeing this ad. I did that before on one particular ad, and I would scroll down. There's the same exact ad again. Okay, I'm going to hit stop seeing this ad on this one. I scroll down, the very next ad, same one. This happened 5 times. I think they were playing with me. Let's see how many times he'll do that.
I started clicking already purchased, and a lot of them went away.
Well, I would think if you clicked already purchased, it was like, oh, he bought one. Maybe he'll buy more.
Maybe we can sell him the warranty.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Or sensitive topic. They don't want to trigger anybody.
Because Roy Rogers would be offended.
Not nowadays, no.
Trigger control.
Yeah, using both hands.
Trigger warning.
And that might trigger an argument.
Yep.
It's certainly doing
guys,
so for a lot
if
of
I'm
fun.
not back by the time it's time to roll, roll it. Hey, I'm on my 5th bottle of water since about 6 o'clock. All right.
He's pleading the 5th, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first.
Well, I think he's getting rid of the 5th.
All right, we'll see. We'll see y'all in a bit.
No, we won't. I'm going to end the show before he gets back.
All right, well, start at 1:58, and we'll be right on time.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let me see. Now I'm supposed to end this thing at 1:58. It takes about 2 minutes to end it. Then it takes just a little bit to start your show. So that's that. I don't know why, but okay, I can do it. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, I mean, high flight takes just roughly 2 minutes. I don't know exactly how much.
Actually, strangely enough, if you give me just a second, it doesn't show it. Oh wait,
you could
2 minutes and 11 seconds.
You could speed up Robert Conrad's voice where he sounds like Mickey Mouse and end it in 45 seconds. Just a thought.
No, not even thinking it. What I do is I sit here and I listen to High Flight while I'm sitting there going start broadcast, just hovering over the button. And as soon as I hear the beep at the end, I go ahead and click start broadcast. And that takes care of the other 11 seconds.
For those of you at home who are listening to this don't understand a word of what we're talking about, we're talking about the StreamYard thing that we do. So we have 15 seconds. So I'm going to tell everybody to say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, Candios, amigos.
And then I'm going to start this whole outro thing here in just a second.
I have slept the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up, up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, when never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind, I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God.